Craig Butler threatens a Waterhouse native, and the Tyreek Magee has gone missing.
Jamaica have a lifeline. How about this?
They got Gunnaz podcast.
In this video, I'll be talking about how Craig Butler, in a moment of feeling untouchable, made a very big mistake, and also how Tyreek Magee might just have gotten chopped. People, this video will be a very good one and also very detailed, so make sure you tune in until the end of the video. If you're new to the channel, this is the Gunnaz podcast. I am Dicanio, an Arsenal fan who covers everything Reggae Boys and local football. If you find that you enjoy the content that I do here, remember to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. Now, starting off with Tyreek Magee, as he was not seen at the game featuring Mount Pleasant and Vere yesterday, where Vere lost by 3-0. After the game, Craig Butler was asked in an interview about how he felt and about how the game went. He then made mention of Vere missing key players for that game, including Denzel McKenzie, Kyle Butler, and Javon Atkinson.
That's on the counter. We're without some of our major players today. Kyle Butler, Denzel McKenzie, Javon Atkinson was out, but the youngsters came up and played well, represented well. Sean Layton.
Now, those players were either on the bench as an unused sub or in and around the game. Now, you can even see Kyle in the video background of the clip. Now, thanks to Brian from BAM Sports TV, who quickly realized that Magee was not mentioned as a key player. He then asked Craig Butler, what about Tyreek Magee? Why was he not featured? And this was Craig Butler's response.
Yeah, coach, you mentioned a few players were out. Didn't also see Tyreek Magee. Any reason as to why he wasn't a part of today's team?
No comment.
Now, when I first heard this, I was not overly concerned. I thought that since Craig Butler said that he wants to get Magee to get this summer, he might maybe just have had an injury that he picked up and did not want to make that injury public knowledge. He did that, I believe, earlier this season with Denzel McKenzie, because he claimed that Denzel McKenzie will be at Feyenoord in the summer. So when he was asked in a game, I believe it was a game where they lost because they lose every game, against Cavalier, he was asked about Denzel McKenzie coming off the pitch due to a supposed injury. And he also did say no comment, right? He said he didn't want to comment on that. So I thought it was a similar situation in this case as it relates to Tyreek Magee.
The players that played this game are all players that are committed to the team and love each other and growing up together. And I think they fought for each other today.
No, people, he said that every player that is there is committed. However, Tyreek Magee was not at that game, and his number 19 shirt was worn by Dante Peralta. By the way, guys, this is the same guy that just the other night Butler said was in Portugal. That's less than 2 days ago, right? Dante Peralta. Now, people, anyone can put 2 and 2 together to see that there is some sort of rift between Magee and Butler right now, and the only time will tell on what caused that rift. And it's evident. It has to be a rift, because he has always mentioned Magee's name in his interview, while mentioning the key players like McKenzie, while mentioning players like Kyle Butler. But for some reason, he didn't mention Magee, and Magee was nowhere to be seen, right? No, again, I have to pick up BAM Sports. That was good journalism, good picking up on the loose end to ask about Tyreek Magee. And no, there are huge question marks on whether Tyreek Magee was chopped, right? Because if there is a rift between them, you know what happens when you have a rift with Craig Butler, right? Now, if Tyreek Magee put his career on the line, gave up millions, as reported, from Mount Pleasant to go to Vere in hopes of being able to play in Europe again, and he is in an altercation or he is in dispute with Craig Butler, that does not look good for Tyreek Magee. Hopefully that is not the case, and hopefully my initial thought of him being potentially injured and not being in the squad, well, maybe not saying that I'm hoping that it's right, but for his own sake, if I was Magee, I would prefer that I was injured than having a rift between Craig Butler when I hope that I was gonna be going to Europe after rejecting millions. So I think that's the best way for me to put it. I would have preferred to be injured than to be on the wrong side of Butler, having put all my eggs in his basket, right? Now, people, Craig Butler, 2 nights ago on Ryan LFC's show, made his mouth slip, saying what he would do to Gunnaz and Pressa if he ever catch we are road.
Won 3 championships before.
But you know,
Everybody goes up. Mourinho, let me finish, please. Let me finish, please.
That's a simple question.
Mourinho,
Make it a bit tough.
let me finish, please. I'm not going to answer your question. You don't understand.
People
finish,
can't say anybody ask him, him run.
I don't run from little boys. And if you want to see me outside of the road,
leave that alone, man. Leave that alone, brother. But leave that alone. Leave that alone. Leave that alone, brother.
I've said nicely 3 times. I'm here to respond to things that were said before, and I'm not taking any further questions. If you don't get it, me not bend it now. Me not mince words, you know, brother.
Leave him, Gunnaz. Leave him.
Go. His claim is that we are trying to hurt his son, Kyle Butler, with our videos, and he protects his kids, and one bag of foolishness. People, I could not care less about Kyle. The last 2 games I went to the National Stadium, it was the Reggae Boys game against the United States and the Inter Miami game against Cavalier. And Kyle Butler was a few rows away from me at Grandstand in each game. And I couldn't care less. I saw him and I continued watching the game. I have no personal vendetta against anyone who I report news on. None whatsoever. I'm a sales professional and a businessman by day, and I do YouTube by night. Right? I have no need to envy anyone. Person lives in the United States and has his business. Neither of us envy the Butlers or want to hurt the Butlers, especially Kyle. We could not care less about Kyle in real life, in reality. Right? YouTube is YouTube, and we do YouTube about football, not about personal stuff. We don't intend to get physical or intend to start physical altercations, right? We simply saw faults in sports journalism in Jamaica and would like to fix it. The English media is way harder on coaches and players than we are. And if Craig Butler did any of the things, especially everything that he has done in Jamaica, at England, he would be talked about, critiqued, and criticized almost every single day by almost every single outlet in England. Right? If he did the same thing he's doing in this Jamaican space right now in England's top flight. And that is a fact.
Jose Mourinho. Has Brand Mourinho gone from special one to joke? Why do I say that? Where is Mourinho at this precise time? Jose Mourinho is head coach at Fenerbahce in Turkey. Mourinho pinched the nose of Galatasaray coach Okan Buruk that left Buruk lying on the pitch, you've guessed it, clutching his face. Mortally wounded. Total overreaction, yes, but nonetheless, Mourinho poked him in the face. This is just a potted version, and I'm holding it up, of some of the things Mourinho has done in recent times. Something similar back in August 2011.
So Presser and I are simply just saying it as it is, because our content does not need interviews or interactions with players and coaches to really survive. We give our audience what they want, and we know what they want because of the numbers that our content produces. Our content is not dependent on the help of another man. We do not have to ask a man for interviews every 3 days, which means we do not need to be hiding our true opinions. And we can be the most objective and the most unbiased for that specific reason. Nothing I said about Kyle is untrue. In my last video, I said at the very start of the season, Craig Butler played his son, even though he was clearly unfit and overweight. And that is not a lie. That information and that visual representation is there for all to see. And also, not because I interview someone means that they are exempt from critique or criticism. I have interviewed Mr. Speid twice, once online and once in person, and I still went on to critique him afterwards. Now, people, this man, Craig Butler, has clear history publicly for being an aggressive control freak to people in and around his circle and professionals that he associates himself with.
Phoenix. So I said to you, buy Phoenix, and you say, yeah, me I will have a van and break, I'm done with it. More than one time you say that to me in a crowd. So I don't know now you make it out like say me come after your player. You mustn't tell things that is not true. Because me and you
you never can buy Phoenix, boy! Look for my chest!
Hey, don't tell a lie,
Hey.
man. Who that sell you, Phoenix, boy? I want you.
Hold on.
You see, let me tell you, Ryan, you see where you subject me to. This man is not, this man, there's something wrong with him.
Attacking like Kyle Butler personally or those type of stuff, which I don't.
No,
feel-
people, you.
No, it's not. What is a
You run off him out. I'm going to show me a face. Let me see it. So.
What do you do?
Oh, you two bucks.
Well, Butler, stop that, man. Hold on, Butler.
This man has tried to strong arm the Jamaica Football Federation into playing his Phoenix players publicly, right? This man has stated conditions for the return of Leon Bailey to represent the national team and said that if those conditions were not met, he's not going to be playing. One of the most high-profile cases in recent times came a couple years ago when his own son, Kyle Butler, took to social media about his father allegedly being abusive to him and his mother and allegedly throwing a knife at him in a heated altercation resulting in injury. And that was the period when Kyle was doing waves in the music industry with Dynasty Records, pairing up with Critical and them man. I mean, actually rate Kyle Butler them time they in music and thing, right? Now, Sports Max, Nationwide, The Gleaner, TVJ News, all of those publications were reporting that after Kyle accused his dad of assault and abuse. Now, the case seems as if it was either settled or dropped, and they are no good, which is great, right? I could not care less. But the reason I mentioned that is to say this. If Craig Butler feels as if he can do or say whatever he wants to people in and around this circle, then that is good. I could not care less. But if this man who claims that he does not even know me can send public threats to me, I can definitively call him a madman because he does not know the half of what he did. Now, people, for many of you guys that have been with me from day one, you guys know that normally I would respond and go back and forth with people, especially in that scenario on Ryan LFC show. But I've been advised by many people in the past not to do it like that. My media trainer, Miss Davis, my audience that loves my content, they don't like to see when I get off like that. My family from my native place in Waterhouse that love and protect me anytime, anywhere. And also my closest friends. Now, all of these people affiliated with me were either watching that live show or eventually got a screen recording of that live show and contacted me right away with various responses. In response, I told them all to calm down and that everything is under control. Now, my final word to Craig Butler is that when your team eventually does get relegated, I will be there visibly. So I dare you to follow through on those threats. I dare you. I've never made anything on this channel personal or about anyone's personal life. I've never spoken about players' personal life. I try to keep it about the football, the business of the football, on the pitch, off the pitch. I'm not telling the man say I go box them no more. I'm not telling the man say if I see a road, I go do and them things, brother. That's it. Now, people, Craig Butler was even making talks about me, asking him for an interview, and that is correct. After the interview with Mr. Rudolph Speid that I got, the in-person one the other day, my viewers in the comment section asked me to try and get on Butler. So I did exactly that. And I did exactly what I did with Mr. Speid. I got his number, right? I sent him a text message. I got Craig Butler's number. I sent Craig Butler a text message. And I asked him for an interview upon my audience's request. And he declined. And I said, okay, no problem. And as he said on Ryan LFC's show, he's not entitled to do an interview with anybody, which is correct. I take a lot of inspiration from persons like Piers Morgan and Anthony Miller. And majority of people who they interview are not even their friends. They don't have the same interests. They don't even have the same opinions as them, right? And they have a whole lot of differences. But they do that interview anyway, despite their differences. So instead of going back and forth on the internet all the time, they sit down face to face and have a conversation that does not lead to a physical altercation. But as I said, due to Butler's aggressive and controlling behavior seen in the public domain multiple times, he knows he cannot sit face to face with someone who has differences with him and have a civilized conversation. So he only gives interviews to those who take his side and lick his boots. And people, I will never be that guy. So it's official. We're not ever see an interview with Butler and Gunnaz once his mentality stays the same. Now that is it for this video, folks. Thank you guys for watching. Share your thoughts below in the comment section. Remember to hit that like button and also remember to subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Jamaica have a lifeline. How about this?
They got Gunnaz podcast.